Hi! I am very good, thank you. And you? Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. No, I am quite seasoned in that I have been working in the industry for 26 years. And it's a really interesting question because, you know, I have to think, is it my third? I think it's my third West End. I think that's right. That's my third West End show. Yes. So Company, weirdly enough, Company is the second time I've done Company. I've done the two productions that London has actually had Company in the West End. So I've been involved with both productions. So that's two of my West End experiences. I understudied. I was 23. I was a lot younger than I am now. I was 23 and I understudied the role of Marta, which sings Another 100 People. Okay. And that's played obviously by a guy this time around, PJ, so yeah. This time around, really painless actually, because auditioning can be quite stressful and quite scary generally. But this one was really quick and really easy. I had 2 auditions. Normally in musical theatre you have sometimes 8, 9 auditions. You can have like a lot. Maybe, okay, I'm exaggerating, 8 or 9, I'm just being dramatic. But there's usually there's a good 4 auditions. And this was very, very easy in terms of one audition. I sang Ladies Who Lunch and I sang a little bit of Have I Got a Guy for You? And that was it. And then I got recalled and then there were a few more people on the panel. So it was about 5 or 6 people on the panel. So it was all the creatives this time around. Marianne Elliott, Joel Fram, the musical director, our producer, Chris Harper, our choreographer, Liam Steele. And I had to sing Ladies Who Lunch again and Have I Got a Guy for You? And then I had to do some acting. So I read some script and that was it. So it was easy. And then actually really quickly I found out that I'd got the job. So. Kind of. I mean, I can't speak for this particular time around. I don't know how many auditions the actors who are playing the roles had, but generally it's kind of roughly the same, I think, in my experience, yeah. It's very involved because I understudied 2 roles in this show, and that kind of is quite common now that people are understudying multi-roles, so 2 and 3 roles. It's very complicated because you sometimes don't know which role to focus on first. I'd say preparation-wise, it's a lot of observation. There's a lot of watching in rehearsals, going through everything with a fine-tooth comb, kind of planning it almost like a map almost. You're mapping that person physically, vocally, script-wise, acting-wise, choreography. It's very complicated and you have to be incredibly diligent and incredibly focused to actually pick up everything, especially on this particular production, because it was a brand new version of Company. And because a lot of the stuff in rehearsal was being created there and then, it wasn't like a set show. So if you did a show like Mamma Mia, that's been running now for 20 years, Happy Birthday Mamma Mia, a show like that is already set in stone. So you know where you stand. The actor always stands in the same place, always goes to the same corner of the stage at this point, blah, 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 blah. With this, we didn't have that. It was all brand new. So can you imagine how difficult it was? Because it was changing. So every day we had a different challenge. So the show was not set until after our 3-week previews. So it was quite a challenge. But yeah, it's a lot of homework, a lot of watching, a lot of observation. Scary for me because Patti LuPone is somebody that I have been listening to since I was very young. So you can imagine that this person is in the flesh, in the same rehearsal room as you, it's kind of daunting. So I was very shy, incredibly shy. I did introduce myself a couple of times, but I also kind of stayed a bit further back as well, because I was like, I don't want to crowd this amazing person who we all love and know, and it was kind of a bit like, I am not worthy. But I was quite shy. It was quite daunting. But she was really normal and really lovely, and probably just as nervous as us actually on the first day, because meet and greets are you get quite nervous about it because you're meeting a whole new crowd of people and you don't know what's expected of you. So yeah, it was quite daunting. We didn't talk about Joanne because, as I spoke about, the rehearsal process was very involved, and it was all very much in the creativity process was very complex. I did not want to crowd any of the actors that I covered, least of all Patti. So we didn't talk about Joanne, and I didn't kind of get too involved. But what happened is when I did go on and play the role, Patti did come up to me afterwards and she thanked me, and she was very, very, very kind and very giving. And I just said to her, whoa, that was really scary. And she said, yeah. She said it was really scary because everybody has an opinion about the role. And I said, you bet your bottom dollar. Because it's such a famous, iconic role, even she understood that this role was already famous before she played it. So she did say, everybody has an opinion about Joanne. So we did kind of touch base on that. But generally, I keep a distance because I'm very respectful of the actor that I'm covering. I do not want to tread on their toes, get in their way. I am here to cover if that person goes ill, So, yeah. A really strange thing happens as an understudy. And I haven't I've understudied lots of brilliant actors within the industry, but I've never understudied an icon. So can you imagine the fear running through my veins when I got that phone call to say, you're on tonight? How did it feel when I was on stage? It was kind of like an out-of-body experience, playing this role. And especially because I'm so used to watching Patti play this role, and what she does with it is so iconic, and she is so iconic. It was like an out-of-body experience, and I sometimes kind of I can't remember some of it because it was so crazy. I did remember being in the scene, the famous nightclub scene that Joanne Patti does. And I remember having a few little moments where I kind of went, oh my God, I'm on stage and I'm playing this incredible role. And I had to sort of shake myself out of it because I thought, I'm going to forget my lines. If I start thinking, oh my gosh, I'm playing this, if I start going in Twilight Zone, you can forget about it. But it was kind of amazing. When you raise the glass at the end and you do the last rise, that was kind of amazing because you go, thank God it's over. I sang the song, I got through it. But some of it you just don't remember. You just don't remember. The most challenging thing is being on standby 24/7. It's something that I personally have found incredibly challenging, more so this time around, given what I've just told you about actually covering two very well-known people, but especially, obviously, a very well-known Broadway icon. For me, what is so scary about that is not being able to relax. You constantly have to be on the front foot. You have to be ready. And what's hard about that is sometimes when I go about my everyday life, I constantly feel on edge that my phone's going to ring, and I'm going, because you have to be really ready, because you've got to remember we're not doing the show every night. We're not playing those roles every night. So to be, you have to just be really conscious that if that phone call happens, you have to be as ready as that. You can't be too relaxed. Well, for me, I can't be. That's the way I work. I can't be too relaxed, because if I am, I think I'd mess up if I was just thrown on, which has actually happened. I have been thrown on, but that's okay. I was ready. I don't have a story, a personal story as such, but what I do remember is her being incredibly funny in rehearsal. She was fun, and it was great to watch her because she actually loves to have fun. She's very fun-loving, and it was a great experience for me to not only watch her because I was picking up the role and trying to see where do we go, but it was actually, I love seeing her laugh. And I love her sense of fun. And yeah, I think I'll take that away, actually. I think I'll take that mainly away from her character. She is very generous and very funny. She's always laughing and finding fun. So I studied both acting and musical theatre. I danced as a child initially, and then as I got older I realised, or my dad realised, that I could sing, and so I was always interested from an early age. And then I think at 16 I thought, hey, shall I do this? I love performing, so shall we do this? And then I did a 2-year drama course in my hometown, which is Manchester. And then I decided that wasn't enough and I needed some further training. So I came to London at the age of 18 and I studied pure musical theatre at the Arts Educational Schools, which is in West London. And I was really lucky because I didn't come from a family that had lots of money, and these courses are really expensive. So I had to I got in the school and then I had to re-audition for the scholarship, which was the Andrew Lloyd Webber Scholarship, would you believe? And thank my lucky stars I won the scholarship, and that's how my training was paid for by Andrew Lloyd Webber, actually. So I did 3 years of musical theatre. Thank you, Andrew Lloyd Webber. I wouldn't be here now. Yeah, I think it was. I mean, I think at a very young age, I wasn't a very confident child. I think I enjoyed it, but I wasn't precocious and I wasn't confident. I wasn't that kind of child. And I still, you know, I'm in a lot of ways, even though I might come across as being quite confident now and quite chatty, you know, I can get really nervous and I can be quite shy, actually. But it was something that I think when I got to 16, I had more of a passion to do it than, so the fear and the shyness was taken over by a passion, really, to do it. So I guess, yeah, in a way, it was always part of my life. I don't know whether at a young age I wanted to do it. It was more 16, I'd say 16 onwards, yeah.
Don't cry for me, Argentina. The truth is I never left you. Come through my wild days, my mad existence.
Well, you know, I'm going to really admit something now. I watched lots of other interpretations of the role, and guess who I watched? Somebody called Patti LuPone. Yeah, I did a lot of YouTube, trawling the YouTube to watch lots of different interpretations, because I'm not one of these people that even though I try to bring something of my own to it, I do love to watch what because I love to be inspired. And I'm constantly inspired by other performers. And I did a lot of YouTube kind of, but I also kind of wanted to get across that this character is, because what I understand of Eva Peron is that she was actually a very strong, very strong-minded woman. But the song is kind of, she's coming across in a way that's actually, I love you and I want your respect and love back. But actually, I think underneath it, she was actually really ruthless. So it's trying to find that combination, and watching lots of other interpretations was actually really interesting. Patti LuPone actually brings so much emotion to it, but we know from other areas of the show, not just singing Don't Cry For Me Argentina, the other interpretation, her general interpretation throughout actually is very strong and very ruthless and very commanding. So I tried to do a little bit of both actually with it. Whether I achieve that is another thing. I don't know. You ask the audiences in Emmental, we'll see. As a performer, I have so many people inspire me. Actors on screen, actors on stage. I absolutely love Barbra Streisand's voice. I also think she is an incredible actress. And I know she doesn't do a lot of stage. I know she does concert work, but I love what she does in film. And I find her incredibly mesmerising and inspirational. And I love her sound, her vocal sound. One of my big inspirations here, and we're kind of sticking with somebody who's very Sondheim based, an actress who has done a lot of Stephen Sondheim musicals. And when I was 21, a friend of mine got me a ticket to go and see a production of Sweeney Todd at the National Theatre. And this actress is called Julia Mackenzie, and she played Mrs. Lovett. And I've seen 3 actresses play Mrs. Lovett live, apart from on screen or any productions that have been filmed. But actually on stage I've seen 3 actresses, but her performance broke my heart. And actually that character you wouldn't think would break your heart, because she's quite ruthless. But she did something so magical with it that she gave us another dimension to. But I also love her voice, and I also love her doing Broadway Baby. If you ever get a chance to watch Julia Mackenzie sing, it's on YouTube. And I'm going to say Patti LuPone because I listened to Patti singing on my Walkman. This is how old I am. On my Walkman, when I was walking around the supermarket with my mum, I listened to I Dreamed a Dream. I can't remember how old I was now, but can you imagine how that feels to actually be in a rehearsal room with her, but to have listened to her voice when I was, maybe let's say about 13 I was. And I think she's not only inspirational because she has this wonderful voice that is so unique, but also because she is, and what has really come to light, especially on this production for me to watch it live, is the most incredible actress. And her performance, by the way, is different every night. If you are lucky enough to see this performance even more than 3 times, it's different every single time she does it. And I think that takes a lot of bravery for an actress. And it's very inspirational. It's something to learn from. And for me, it's been an absolute pleasure to listen to Ladies Who Lunch every night and to hear that scene. So. I actually recently just set up a little business of my own as a face painter. I've always been quite artistic, and I've always loved drawing and painting and sketching. Anything that's more creative I am more drawn to. Anything academic, forget about it. I'm totally stupid. So anything that's kind of visual and anything where you can create something, I'm very drawn to it. So yeah, I do body painting and face painting, and I get a lot of pleasure from it. And anything to do with kind of, actually it's probably linked with what I do as an understudy, because watching and observing is something that I'm probably, if I dare I say it, a bit better at doing things like that, or impersonating people as well. You know, I can impersonate voices sometimes and people. So I'm kind of drawn to anything creative. Yeah, so there we go. The design and the concept visually is very different with this production, which is largely down to the direction of Marianne Elliott and also the design of Bunny Christie, which is, so many people have spoken to me about the design and the visual aspect of the show. it's a very, very big, is a big draw for people actually. It's a real talking point. People absolutely love that. That's very different. Obviously the gender makes a huge difference to the through line of the story. A woman's point of view as this character is going to be so different from a man. We have different agenda as a woman, and the baseline of the story is about somebody who is questioning marriage. Well, that's different for a woman than it is for a man. So it's a really big deal in this production in terms of biological clock, how women are perceived as a single person, which is different from a man, and certainly from the other production, which was, for a guy, it's kind of like, good on you, you're a bachelor. And for a lot of women, it's kind of like, why are you not married? Do you want children? So there's that. What else? The choreography is very different. It was kind of more traditional last time I did the show. This is more contemporary. So it's very visually different, again, with the design. What else can I say that's different? The whole feel of the show is just so different. It's amazing how the interpretations of characters change as well with different actors, because each actor will bring their own perspective and understanding of what that character, what they're saying in a scene and what they're aiming for, and also, again, with direction. Last time I did the production, the role of Sarah, for example, the jiu-jitsu character, wasn't played quite so passive-aggressively as it is in this. So it's brought something new to that character this time around. Also, Joanne has the very different through line in terms of, at the end of the scene, she offers her husband to Bobbie, whereas in the original, she offers herself. So... This is really interesting because lots of my friends went, why didn't Joanne offer herself to Bobbie? And I kind of went, oh my gosh, I didn't think about that. That could have happened. That could have easily happened. I think it would have been really interesting to have it done that way. However, the vulnerability of Joanne is more prominent when she offers her husband, because what it says about her is her self-esteem. She even is described by Larry in the scene as having very low self-esteem. And I think the fact that she offers her husband highlights that, and it is actually quite powerful as the character. Had she offered herself, it would have put a whole new spin on the piece, and that would have been really interesting as well. I think both are actually really interesting. Well, yeah, I guess that's to be continued. That, who knows if that could change? We don't know. In some ways, she is quite maternal to Bobbie, but also we've got to remember that they are ultimately friends. She isn't her mother, so I think that there is also a wee bit of that, I want to say rivalry, but maybe it's just an age difference thing. When women reach a certain age, which, you know, I'm at a point now where I'm starting to understand that there are changes when you reach certain seasons of your life. And I think for her, she's this rich, glamorous, powerful woman, but she's reaching a point which is, I guess, what Ladies Who Lunch really has, probably is saying. The dinosaur surviving the crunch. She's of an era now where she's frowned upon in that nightclub, for example, which is supposed to be surrounded by trendy, young, kind of hip people. And I think there is that element of you're still at an age where you can do this, 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 and this, and I'm not, and I'm being perceived differently. So I think there is an element of, I don't know whether rivalry is the right word, if I'm honest. I think that there's an edge to their relationship. I think that it's that we have to understand that Joanne is a woman who she possibly has a lot of darkness in her life. I mean, she's been married, what she says, possibly three times. So she has the failed marriage thing. She's also now an age where I guess there's an element to her that is so insecure because she's wondering why this young guy is with her, but he loves her, he's fascinated by her, but she's questioning it because she's probably looking at all the cracks appearing in herself. She knows that she's of an age now where if he was to leave her, she possibly wouldn't maybe get another guy, or it wouldn't be as easy. Maybe. You know, I'm just throwing this out there. And I think she also is an alcoholic, you know. She is a character who, she enjoys the vices that she has, the smoking, the drinking. It's part of her. It's also part of her charm as well. You know, she's charming with it. She can handle her drink. She can handle it. She's seasoned. But I think also she can turn. And I think maybe she's a bit of a nasty alcoholic, you know, a nasty drunk. So I think there's an element to her that kind of maybe is a little more harsh than she means to be. But it all comes out when she's had a drink. Even though she can handle a drink, there's an edge to her, yeah. But we kind of love her for that, don't we? I think Company has to be my favourite because I know it, and I think there are so many. I mean, Being Alive is an incredible song. We were in absolute floods of tears when Rosalie first sang that in rehearsals. It has just such iconic songs. Lady Solange, it's too many. Another 100 People, Being Alive. What else? I can't offer. Even the main song, Company, is incredible. Side by Side. I think it's my ultimate favourite, but I have to say I love Sweeney Todd. I think them possibly on a par, actually. I'd say that Company's, because I know it and it's so dear to me, is one of my favourites. But I think Sweeney Todd is a very close, very, very close second. But then I love Follies. Oh, what am I going to do? I can't. I think it's Company. And Sweeney Todd's a close second. And my favourite Andrew Lloyd Webber, actually, I do love Evita, but I think my ultimate favourite, and I actually saw Patti play it, was Sunset Boulevard. I saw her play the role when I was about 21. Wow. And I also saw her do Masterclass as well, the play. I saw her play Maria Callas and Norma Desmond. But I think what I love about Sunset Boulevard is it's different from the style of all his other musicals. The style of the music is very different. It kind of really ties in with the era, and I think he did a fantastic job of marrying the two things together. Yeah, and I've played roles. I think sometimes what happens with a production like this is there are so many actors. I think it's down to the director, basically. They could have a person in mind. Say, for example, Rosalie was the person that, when they thought of the idea of doing Company with a gender swap, Rosalie was the first person on the list. So that role is then no longer available. You can only understudy that. If that role is already cast, you've had it. You can only ever understudy. So you have to kind of make a choice in your head whether you're happy to understudy in a production as prestigious as this one. And for me, it was something that I went, well, who are they going to have? Me or Patti LuPone? Hang on a minute. You know, so what are you going to do? The next best thing would be to understudy. So for me, I did give up understudying. I decided not to understudy approximately about 2 years ago. But for this particular production, I kind of thought, you know, I'm never going to play this role in this production, so what's the next best thing? And I think for me, it's been a great learning curve. It's been a challenge. It's been really hard at times, but it's been incredibly interesting, and I've learned a lot from doing this, so that's only ever going to be beneficial. But I won't be doing it again. It's too scary. Who would you like me to do? Let me see. Oh my God, now you put me on the spot. I don't know who to do. Oh, I'm going to have to say no because you're going to put this on YouTube and it's going to be terrible. No way. You are absolutely welcome. Thank you for talking to me.